From time immemorial, mankind has celebrated the end of winter and the coming of spring with a flourish of festivities. In pre-Christian times, Beltane was one of the greatest of all events in the Celtic calendar, as bonfires were lit on the 1st of May to mark the day when summer returned. In later centuries, Morris dances appeared, and children danced around the maypole in almost every town and village across Britain to celebrate Mother Nature's rebirth with a flourish of greenery after the long cold months of darkness, death and decay. Modern times have seen many May Day traditions fall by the wayside, and the once common maypoles on the village green are now few and far between. Some places, though, have clung stubbornly to the old traditions. In Padstow, in North Cornwall, May Day is celebrated with as much gusto as even the ancient Celts could muster. Here, on May the 1st every year, normal life comes to a standstill, and myth, legend and romance merge together as local people celebrate the coming of summer. This is home to the now famous Padstow Obby Oss pageant. The maypole has been erected in Broad Street, the town decked out with greenery and spring flowers like cowslips and bluebells, and bunting strung across every street to create a real carnival atmosphere. At the stroke of midnight, the May song had its first airing of the new day. Unite and unite, and let us all unite, for summer is a come unto day, and whither we are going we will all unite in the merry morning of May. While May celebrates the rising of new life from the remnants of the old, perhaps it's fitting that the young of Padstow bring the Obby Oss onto the streets for the first time. They appear around breakfast time, the unmistakable beat of the Brenton drum reverberating through the town like a giant primeval heartbeat to the lively accompaniment of accordions. The Oss himself is a quite fearsome-looking beast, made up of a black canvas sheet stretched over a wooden framework with a ferocious-looking mask. He twists and turns in response to the actions of its companion, the teaser, who waves a decorated club in front of it, as if to whip it up into a kind of frenzy. While the Oss and teaser perform their ritual, the accompanying procession repeats the May song over and over again. The Oss processions traditionally visit many houses in the town, adding the name of the occupant to the verses in the day's song, while the greeting Happy May Day is echoed all over Padstow. At intervals, the teaser lays his or her club on the canvas as the Oss sinks to the ground, and the revellers sing a mournful dirge. Oh, where is St. George? Oh, where is he, oh? He's out in his longboat, all on the salt sea, oh. Up flies the kite, down falls the lark, oh. Aunt Ursula Birdhood, she had an old ewe, and she died in her own park, oh. At which point the Oss springs back into life as the procession shouts with one voice, Oss, Oss, we Oss. Here is a forceful pageantry of rebirth after death, the prime May Day theme that is unparalleled in any other British folk custom. Some sources claim the ritual may be up to 4,000 years old, although in reality nobody really knows, while the origins of the Obby Oss custom and its song have been lost in the mists of time. There are many tales that try to explain how it came to be. To the west of Padstow lies the village of St Merrin, and beyond that the vale of Morgan. Both the names Merrin and Morgan are very similar to the Celtic word morg, meaning horse. Was the North Cornwall area once home to a people who belonged to a cult of horse worship? And is the Obby Oss the last trace of an ancient form of mysticism that has steadfastly refused to die? The horse was venerated through large tracts of ancient Britain, as many giant horse figures carved in the chalk downlands of southern England testify. The horse has always been a powerful fertility symbol, and even today, young maidens who are caught under the skirts of the Obby Oss as it rushes madly into the crowd can expect to become pregnant within the year. Another version of the Obby Oss's origins takes us back to the 6th century, when Cornwall was invaded not by hostile forces, but by hundreds of Christian missionaries from Wales and Ireland. One of these missionaries became the greatest of all Cornish saints, St Petroc. The place where he set foot on shore was named Petrocstow. The name was shortened over the centuries to Padstow, and the town's church is dedicated in his honour. Petroc arrived to find the local heathen population being terrified by a dragon. The holy man took on the challenge of ridding the countryside of this dreadful reptile. He managed to bind it in his girdle and led it to the sea, where it could not wait to swim away, having finally met its match. Tradition has it that the saint became the teaser in the May ritual, and the dragon the Obby Oss, and dipping the oss at the sea's edge in the harbour became part of the custom. Another explanation for the Obby Oss custom unfolds another fantasy from the Dark Ages, arguably the most dramatic. Legends tell of a long-lost land called Lyonesse that once lay off the coast of Cornwall, until it was destroyed in a single night by a great earthquake and tidal wave, leaving only bare traces of its existence, like the Isles of Scilly and St Michael's Mount near Penzance. Some say this disaster was caused by Merlin the magician, loyal servant of King Arthur, whose legendary birthplace is at Tintagel, not far from Padstow. Angered at the death of his master at the hands of Sir Mordred, whose stronghold was Lyonesse, Merlin conjured up the deluge, which swallowed up Mordred and his army. Only one person escaped the tidal wave, a man named Trevelyan, who dashed through the sea on his black horse to reach the safety of dry land at Padstow. Whatever the true origins of the Obby Oss, one local, it seems, put it to good use. Aunt Ursula Birdhood, who appears in the May song chorus, was thought to have been a local landowner who roused the womenfolk of Padstow when the town was threatened with invasion by the French. The menfolk were all away fighting at the siege of Calais in 1346, when a French man-of-war appeared off the coast. Ursula Birdhood instructed the women to dress up in red cloaks and march, drums beating, along the hilltops at the mouth of the Camel estuary, with the Obby Oss at their head. The French sailors were horrified at what they took to be a demon from the underworld, and fled in terror. As a result, the town was saved from ravage and ruin, while Aunt Ursula's old ewe, as the song tells us, could end its days peacefully in her park rather than be roasted on a French spit. That the Obby Oss has survived at all is remarkable enough, but even more so when you consider several determined attempts to stamp it out. St Augustine, the first Archbishop of Canterbury, had condemned pagan rites where a man dressed up as a horse, although the early missionaries seem to have eventually adopted an "if you can't beat them, join them" approach, and finding them so deep-rooted, merely grafted Christianity onto many of the old pagan festivals. Oliver Cromwell, never a barrel of laughs at the best of times, sought to go one better than Augustine, when in the 17th century his Puritan followers banned the maypole and other pagan symbol. The most serious threat to Padstow's ancient ritual came in the middle of the 19th century, when Samuel Tregaskis, a powerful and fanatically religious North Cornwall landowner, tried to stop the Oss celebrations forever. He bullied, threatened, offered bribes and a fat bullock for roasting every May Day for 7 years if the Obby Oss stayed in its stable. Had the ritual been stopped just for 1 year, it may never have returned, and Tregaskis almost succeeded in his task. But a tiny band of determined Padstonians brought the Oss out to keep the ancient tradition alive. In the 20th century, the Obby Oss has gone from strength to strength, to the point where Padstow now has 2 osses, one red and one blue. The traditional one is the Red Oss, whose stable is the Golden Lion Inn. The Blue Ribbon Oss is thought to have been introduced around 1913, and seems to have been adopted by young Padstonians returning from World War I, when it assumed its other title of the Peace Oss. The Blue Ribbon Oss stable is the Harbour Inn. By 9:30 the whole population of Padstow is out on the streets, swelled by tens of thousands of visitors who flock here just to be part of this unique occasion. Street performers entertain the crowds, and the traditional Cornish pasty is almost obligatory. Excitement mounts in anticipation of the main celebrations. While the youngsters have given everyone a taste of what's in store, as well as learning the art for themselves to ensure its survival, everyone now awaits the appearance of the 2 big osses. The Blue Oss will be the first to emerge at 10 o'clock, followed at 11 by the Red. Both will prance and dance their way around town several times, accompanied by their teasers, musicians, an entourage 100 strong, joining in the age-old May song and ending in a grand finale in Market Square.